Hey there, welcome back to the channel. So in previous videos we talked about the basics in terms of the lines that you want to follow to be able to catch multiple bounces every single day. And if you haven't seen those other videos, I'm going to list them below in the notes. But to recap some of them, one video talked about the 6 most important lines that you have to have on all of your charts. And those would be the half gap, the RTH open, the previous day close, the previous day high and the previous day low, and the previous day VWAP close. And then in another video, we discussed pivot points and tracking the daily pivot points and the weekly pivot points. And you want to do these on multiple instruments. If you're trading ES, you want to be obviously watching the ES chart, but you also want to be watching all of these levels on the SPY chart, SPX, NQ, Qs, NDX, and also both VIX instruments. In addition to those, you want to be tracking simply 3 moving averages, and you want to be tracking them on all of your charts. And those would be the 100 SMA and EMA, the 200 SMA and EMA, and I use those on a 1-minute chart, and also the 200 SMA and EMA on a 5-minute chart, which ES, SPY, and SPX are absolutely in love with. Now, if you want to track a 200 EMA and SMA from the 5-minute chart, but having it displayed on a 1-minute chart, you simply have to set the length to 1000. But today, I want to talk about volume profile, which is another portion of the basics that you want to keep track of if you're going to catch the bounces multiple times per day. Now, on this particular chart, I'm showing you in on demand in Thinkorswim a chart from about 5 days ago. And what I do when we start out the day is I will come in and I will note 3 things on the chart. I will note the spot that POC is developing from the overnight action. I will note where the value area high is and the value area low is, and I'll also take note of where the pre-market high was and where the pre-market low was. And these are important to note because during the day, these levels are going to change. As volume pockets show up in different areas throughout the day, the POC or point of control is going to move up, move down, and so is the value area high and value area low, because the point at which value area high and value area low are displayed simply show where 70% of the trading volume for the particular day is taking place. That's all that value area high and value area low mean. Now, this is quite zoomed in. Let me zoom out a little bit so that we can take a look at the previous couple of days. Now, what do we have from the previous couple of days? In the previous day, we have a POC that is at this level right here. We have a high and a value area high that was here. We have a value area low here and a low here. And then the previous day, the POC, where most volume happened on that particular day, was right here with value area low, value area high, the high, and the low displayed for this day. Now you can see that the volume where POC was 2 days ago, the volume node was huge, just like the volume node was huge yesterday at POC here. But also, you want to take note of areas that could be solid for bounces, especially if they line up with some of our other things, like pivot points, like previous day low, things like that. So what I'll do is I'll come in And I'll take note of areas that were significant from previous days. And again, you don't see how I typically have my charts set up, but on this particular day, previous day close may be on here somewhere. Previous day's VWAP close might be here somewhere. The half gap is going to be here somewhere. The half gap is going to be here somewhere. So these are all areas that I'll take note of so that if the market does travel downward, I want to see if it's going to come in contact with any of these significant areas. So let's fast forward on this particular day and take a look. But before I do, let me stop here for a moment and ask if you're finding anything of value here, if you like what's being presented, please take a moment right now and click the like button for me. It would really help out the channel. And also, if you'd like to see me live stream some of the things that I've discussed in terms of getting pinpoint bounces multiple times every single day, if you'd like to see that live streamed, I'm thinking about doing that, and if I get enough people that are interested in watching, I'll certainly proceed with that, and I think it will help other people learn how to find these pinpoint spots to take entries, and also it would reinforce my own thinking in terms of the entries that I'm making. So do let me know below. Now, as you can see, I fast forwarded about an hour, and what happened? Well, there was a lot of choppy action during the hour. POC moved slightly. Value area high moved up slightly. Value area low moved down slightly. And you can see that the market drove down to this area that was in line with the POC from 2 days ago, which had interacted in the pre-market twice, and it came down and bounced right there significantly and ran up to a new value area high. Then it rolled over and came right down to this significant volume node from the previous day. Not the most significant. The most significant was where POC was. But on the downside, looking for a bounce, the likelihood of it bouncing in an area where there was an extreme amount of volume the previous day is likely. And so that's why I marked this, and that's why we see that there was a significant bounce right there on this day. Okay, now let's take a look at the chart a little later. Now we've moved forward another hour, and we've seen that bounce off that previous day's volume node drove the price all the way up beyond the current value area high, and the current value area high shifted again, and the value area low shifted again. But it blew right through that and blew through the pre-market highs and also exceeded the previous day high and the day before that, its value area high, and is starting to get choppy up in this area right here. Now, is it going to run or is it going to fall? And the answer is right in this area right here, where you see that 2 days ago, the market dropped significantly from this area right here and did so on very little volume. So it is going to take an enormous amount of buying to drive the price all the way up to here, where the previous set of volume took place. So let's see what happens. So I set it forward by 2 hours, and as you can see, the market did try to run after this consolidation area right here, but simply couldn't get above this area right here that had a huge amount of selling on very, very low volume. So it's coming back into the daily range. Now, why am I pointing out some of these things and making note of the fact that there are spots where you can catch bounces and sometimes you can catch bounces, and other times you should not look for bounces. One thing I want to say about volume profile is that yes, you are going to have a very specific line at a very specific price that shows you what POC is, or what value area high is and what value area low is. But you must remember that these areas are nothing more than a precise level that the absolute most volume took place at. But you must understand that these are really more ranges. And what I mean by ranges is that if you're looking at this level right here from 2 days ago, what you really need to be looking at is this zone of transactions that happened from this point, let's say, down to this point, where the most happened right at this very point. Likewise, for yesterday, let's say this point down to this point, where, yes, the absolute most happened at this point right here. Why is that important? Because a lot of people think that, oh, I'm going to trade volume profile, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bounce on value area low and ride it up to POC, where it will reverse and maybe come back down to value area low again. And that very, very rarely happens. So you must consider these POCs as zones, ranges, and not specific points. And why that's so is I'm going to point out to you in a moment when we talk about weekly POCs and monthly POCs and the importance of those. But before I go on to that, let me point out that the value area lows and the value area highs can play significant roles throughout the day. And what I mean by that is that at different times during the day, you'll see price interacting with value area high and value area low, and they will either act as support, where a bounce could happen, or a rejection might happen, which did not happen here. But once value area high is blown through, then value area high very, very often acts as new support. And again, here we're watching ES. But if you're watching SPY, value area high may be in some complete other area. They won't, very rarely will they line up precisely together. So when you're watching price come up to value area high on ES, you should have your eyes on value area high on SPY as well. Now you won't see value area high or POC on SPX because you can't use volume profile on SPX or NDX. Now, I've gone ahead and moved it forward, I guess, 1 hour. And I also put a number of the other indicators that I usually use on my charts on the charts so that you can see exactly how and why some of these trades took place, some of these perfect bounces took place. Now, we talked about the market opening and the original value area high and low, and you can't see where POC was. And I had marked off where the POC was from 2 days ago and from the previous day, which the POC from the previous day was precisely where its main pivot point was. And on this day, you will see that it did bounce on that POC from 2 days ago right here, where it had also interacted a couple of times in the overnight session. it ran up to where POC was the previous day and reversed. And then it came down to this area right here and bounced. And as you see from what I've noted in other videos, you have the yesterday's close line that was displayed on yesterday's chart, and you have the VWAP close, which you can't see because I don't have it on the chart right now. But this is where VWAP closed the previous day. And that made for a perfect bounce off of the previous day VWAP close and yesterday's previous close, which came from here. So that's tying it all together. And here it is again with both the VWAP and the intraday VWAP indicators placed onto the charts. And you'll see that interaction happened, solid bounce happened on this day where VWAP closed the previous day, which is right here. But it also happened the previous day. Yesterday, price action drove all the way up to here and it pierced it, it went beyond it, but basically those are very long wicks to show that it was recognized that the VWAP close from the previous day, which was right here, traders were rejecting getting above that. So it pierced it, it pierced it, it pierced it, and then rejected and closed the day. So it turns out that this video is getting quite long, and what I think I'll do is I will end this video here and continue this video with a part 2 that discusses the importance of having the monthly and the weekly volume profiles on your charts. So thanks again for watching. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a like, and if you have an opportunity to watch it right now, go ahead and click on this video up above, which shows the continuation of this video with the weekly and monthly profiles. Okay, thanks again. Have a great day.